if you feel like you're stuck, it's time to get busy. We all have a vision of what we want to be and the impact we want to have and the car that we want to drive. And I don't even care about the material things, the cars, but you have a vision of who do I want to be in a year? I have this vision where, I'm flying up and down the East Coast and I'm meeting with franchise partners and we're helping people become entrepreneurs. And, when our last son goes off to college, finally, my wife will be with me on that plane flying up and down the East Coast, visiting our franchise partners, enjoying the city for a little bit while we're there, and then jumping back on the jet and
Very
taking
cool.
off to the next one. And so that's the vision that I've created, that I foresee. I don't know if I created it. I don't know if it's been given to me, but that's what I'm after. So we all have that inside of us. Just put it out there, announce it, put it out there, write it down, and then start writing a real clear path of how you're going to create it. And most people underestimate what they can do because they don't see it long term.
Yo, this is the Streetwise podcast, where we help you level up your game, level up your leadership, and level up your life. I'm your host, Matthew McReynolds. I'm a multi-brand franchisee, and I'm a franchise consultant, which means I help people find, launch, and build their ideal franchise business. My main goal is to help you get off of zero and become the person that your dreams need you to be. Buckle up, get your popcorn ready, let's go. As soon as we press go, of course. But is it Richard or Richie? Tell me,
Richie.
what do you prefer?
I've always gone by Richie. Anybody that calls me Richard don't know me very well. So I always go by, when people call me, if they don't say Richie, and then I know that they don't know me very well.
That's
so we're gonna
good,
go with
man.
Richie.
When did that start? Was it when you were a kid? Like your friends and family just called you Richie?
Yep. Well, my dad, actually, to be honest with you, I'm actually the third. So my dad is a junior. His father, of course, was the senior. And then my wife and I have a son. We actually have 5 children, 4 boys and a daughter. And we have our oldest son, and his name is Richard Olin Huffman the 4th. And my wife, Dawn, didn't want another Richie, definitely did not want a Richard. So he goes by his middle name and family name of Olin.
I love that. What's the philosophy behind having a junior, a third, a fourth? Like, is there a point where you just can't go back? Like, does there have to be a 5th now? Are you leaving that up to him? Where are we going?
You know what? I don't know, but I just think that is so cool because, and I know that I do this, and it's important with our family, is to understand the men and the women that have come before you, that have paved the way and put you in the position that you're in.
I love that.
So, that's a great reminder of those men that have come before us and have done things that have put us in good positions that we're in today.
I love that. And so on the note of what you said right before the record went, we're just 2 guys talking. We'll get into the other stuff here in a little bit, but I'm curious about, you said you had 5 kids?
5 children, yeah. 3 boys, a daughter, and then another son. So I always like to say that because they always assume that she's the last one, and she's actually the 4th.
Wow. What are the age gaps? And I'm curious on the different phases that you've experienced as a dad. Was there a phase that you liked the most? So for context, I've got 3 kids. I've got 2 boys and then a little girl, 6-year-old, 3-year-old, and then 2-year-old. So I'll let you take it.
Well, it's funny because I'm probably going to get emotional already that I was just on the phone with our oldest son, and he's a Marine. So he's 22 years old, and he actually called me yesterday. We thought he was at 29 Palms, the biggest Marine base in the country, and he, basically told us that I haven't been here. I've been on a special assignment. Yeah, when you get those calls, it's like, okay.
Whoa.
So I don't want to go too deep here too fast, but that's a whole different level of being a dad. So he's our oldest, and then we have 2 in universities. My daughter is a junior in high school, and then our last son is headed into to high school. So every 2 years, that was our pattern. That's all I could get my wife to do. Give me a beautiful child. Give me a beautiful child.
That is a powerful and beautiful thing, man. And yes, again, for context, I'll get as deep into that as you will allow me to, because I truly find it special that I can use this platform to understand people and understand their journey. And I think on the back end of that, people get value from hearing other people's narratives and where they failed and where they've succeeded inside and outside of work and profession and career
Totally.
as we're building up our lives. But
Matthew, it's
Mr.
so funny. Let me jump in
Yeah,
there for a
come
second.
on.
It's
Come
so
on.
funny. So funny you said that, because I started Celebree at the age of 26 years old. Opened my first preschool, and have been rock and rolling for the last 30 years. And through that journey, I'm a lifetime learner. I read a ton. I've been a part of Vistage, which is an organization for CEOs, and I'd sit in these meetings of these CEOs, and their companies were very successful, but their personal lives were so screwed up. And I sat there and I started thinking, like, how do you do that? So I really started thinking about, all these strategies and tools and techniques that we use as CEOs. What if we use those in our families? So what if we had, family meetings? What if we had a vision and a mission and a purpose statement for our families? And, most CEOs have one-to-ones with their key executives. What if you had one-to-ones with your children? And I tell you, over the last 3 years, we've done that with the Huffman family, which ultimately ended up becoming the Huffman family brand and office as we have today. That is should be a big takeaway for our listeners today of really, man, just if you took all that time and energy and resources of how to be a very successful entrepreneur and applied it to your family. Because a family is an enterprise. It's
Absolutely.
an enterprise, and it should have a mission and a vision and a purpose. And who are we, and what do we stand for, and what are we out to accomplish as a family? I just did a podcast on Richie Huffman podcast with my second son, and we've really got deep into what
That's
it was
so
like.
cool.
It was amazing, and I learned so much. I mean, because we don't ask our children enough questions. And one of our family advisors, Chris Steer, was hosting the podcast, and Evan went deep into what it was like to be, Richie Huffman's child, and hearing about generational wealth and how to financially be, financially independent. And it was so funny. So I looked across the table at Evan. I said, "So you were listening?" And he goes, "Yeah." "Yeah, I was." I was, "Man, I'm so proud of you, buddy." But they're all such great kids. And sometimes you, as dads and moms, and you're pouring into your children, doing all the things I just mentioned, and especially when they're young, it's hard. But I tell you, man, they're listening and they're paying attention. And just like anything else, it will pay huge dividends later.
That's beautiful. So we have our core values, and they're written on the board as our business, right? I'm in my office right now. Technicians are coming in as we speak. You might be able to hear them in the background. It's very thin walls here at the
Yeah.
Streetwise podcast stage. But I pivoted the core values, and I wrote them in a way that my kids could understand them. And now they have them all memorized, and it's so
Aw.
cute. Anytime, because now it gives me a framework that I can correct them
Totally.
off of.
Oh,
Like, hey, bud, was that giving your best effort? Was that trying your best? Hey, was that you taking ownership in this situation when you just blamed your little sister for
oh,
causing that big?
that's
And
awesome, dude.
it's such a beautiful thing. And it wasn't until recently, speaking to the CEO on this platform right here, Jeff Duden with Homefront Brands, that I even thought about making that sort of a pivot. And I'm curious, from your perspective, was there an age range that, I mean, you already said it's never too early, but did you notice that they really started picking it up at a certain age? Was there an age where you were a little worried that they might be losing it?
No, because I'm so glad you said what you said, because I used our values as a
Mm,
parenting tool also. I
Awesome.
I was literally getting ready to say exactly what you just said. I would use that in my discipline towards my children, exactly the way you just did. But kids are funny and people are funny. It's not always what they say, it's what they do. And most of the times you don't even notice that they're actually doing and becoming better because of these values and beliefs that you've instilled in them. So that's an interesting question, but there was no like aha moment where the light bulbs went off, except for the podcast I did with Evan, until I was like, there it is. I mean, it's like anything else. It's a very slow, gradual progression to the point where, like, our oldest boys, you look back and you're like, man, I'm just super proud of these guys. Super
That's really
proud.
cool. That's really cool. I think God gives us those moments of insight very briefly sometimes, but when we get to see him, it's usually a pretty special thing. On the last, you said it's funny talking about you didn't know that your son was listening. I've found that you truly don't know when they're watching. You truly don't know when they're picking stuff up. We're watching the Olympics last night, and we're watching guy from France destroyed the medley race, and he's standing there afterwards and everybody's cheering for him, and my 6-year-old is like, Daddy, that's like you whenever you finish your runs, except
Oh.
he's got different hair and nobody's watching you, but that's like you. And I was like, man, you
Oh.
know what? Like, you see me, because his room kind of
Oh.
sees over the driveway. And I was like, you know what? That's special. Like, and
Oh.
I took that and I was like, you know what? That's cool, man, because nobody else sees me put in that work, but he did. And so I
Yeah.
thought that was a pretty cool metaphor, and I appreciate you for bringing it up.
Now that he said that to you, I bet you, if not already, when you go on your next run, you're going to be thinking about that,
Oh man,
right?
absolutely. 100%. 100%. So I love that the conversation started off this way, because you operate a very near and dear type of industry to my heart in the child enrichment and the educational space. So maybe you can break down for me and the audience, because for anybody listening, this is the first time Mr. Richie
Yeah,
and I have engaged.
yeah.
So could you maybe break down, you started this thing at 26?
I think, the more I think about it, I think I started at 26 or 24. I'm trying to, I think I
Okay.
started in 1994. I was not a good student in high school. I knew I was not going to head off to college. I knew I really just didn't want to waste my time doing it. They were talking about nothing that I found to be important, or that they shared. They told me it was going to be important later in my life. So as soon as I got out of high school, I went to work. Delivering bakery products. I'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'd go and deliver my bakery products, and still living at home. And then one day my mom said, you have $14,000 in your bank, and this is 19, this is, when is this? This is 90, I would say 89, somewhere around there. She
Okay.
goes, you need $14,000 in your bank? I said, yeah, I know. That's, I'm saving money. And she's like,
Yeah.
you're going to go and you're going to buy a piece of real estate. And I said, okay. So we went down, I bought a townhouse. I converted it into 2 apartments, and I was getting $450 for the bottom and $350 for the top. And I was hooked. So every morning, talking about purpose, every morning when I got up to do that bakery route, I had a mindset of how was I going to save another $14,000 so I could buy my next rental property. So
Wow.
over the 7 years, I had accumulated 24 apartments at a very young age. I think so. I was probably 20, 22 at this point. And then my mom came in and gave me another great idea. She goes, what's really hot right now? I go, what, Mom? She said, tanning salons. Tanning salons are really hot right now. They're popping off. I go, okay, Mom. So 6 months later, I was in the tanning and nail salon business. So I was getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, running the bakery route, hunting for real estate between like 11 and whatever, 3 o'clock, collecting rent, fixing apartments, and then going to my tanning salon between 5 and 10 to close it. And I did that for a lot of years. And then in 1994, my parents were already in the preschool business. In 1994, my mom came to me and gave me my opportunity to open my own preschool. So opened my first school at 1994 at the age of 26 years old. Fell in love with it immediately. I always say that I believe I was the first franchisee of Celebree just because I was
Hmm.
mentored and guided by my parents. In 1996, I opened my second school. And that's when I knew, Matthew, this is one I wanted to dedicate my life to. So I went back, sold the bakery route, sold all the rental properties, and sold the tanning salons. And I've been doing this for the last 30 years.
I cannot express how much I love that backstory. And you told me in pieces of how your mom specifically influenced your journey, but maybe give me a bigger taste of what that was like having parents, at least one that truly fed into the vision that you had as a young entrepreneur and as a young hustler and somebody that was really trying to build for themselves outside of, a little on the road less traveled a little bit. You did have that influence there. So it sounds like your parents were already entrepreneurs. Is that correct?
Yeah, my parents had a preschool themselves.
Okay. What was that like growing up with entrepreneurial parents and that influence for you?
Well, that actually came later in my life. I remember I just told the
Oh,
story about 20 minutes ago. I remember my mom was the controller, financial controller for a fairly large construction company here in Maryland, and my mom went and decided she was going to open her own preschool, and this was the early mid 80s, and preschools were not really that popular. It was really known as I mean, it was really known as a woman's business, and it was really known as really, daycare and a place that parents dropped off, babysitting, whatever you want to call it. And my mom really helped change that perspective. But I remember during high school, my parents saying, we're going to build a new home, and this home's going to have a jacuzzi bathtub in my bedroom and in her bedroom, my mom and dad's bedroom, not my bedroom, and it was a fireplace. And I was like, you want to tell me something? Like, did we just hit the lottery or something? But I absolutely, Matthew, connected that as a child as far as being an entrepreneur, owning your own business, creating your own destiny, to creating wealth and opportunities for your family. And man, when I got a hold of that, I just embraced it fully. So that when my mom started giving me these ideas, and my mom just gave me ideas. The rental properties was an idea. The tanning salon was an idea. I mean, my mom never said, this is what you're going to do. And that's what I love about my mom and my dad. It's the same way that Dawn and I treat our children today. And so, opened my first school, opened my second school, said this is what I dedicated my life to. Still are the largest preschool providers in the state of Maryland with 26 corporate locations. And in March of 2019, we were sitting down thinking about next year's strategy. And to be honest with you, during that strategy meeting, and for a couple of years, I was bored. I'd built this amazing executive team, marketing, HR, operations, and really didn't have or lost the value that I brought to the company. I was no longer, in the schools giving tours and helping hiring.
Yeah.
And I said, let's franchise. And there was a lot of people that said, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I was like, I have to do it because it's I know it's going to be the next challenge for me personally. And so we did it March of 2019, and it's been better than I ever imagined. And what I mean by that is just the people, the families that we're bringing in as partners. Last week I was in Arizona on Wednesday. Thursday I was in Denver, and I'm just meeting these people that are just so excited to get out of the corporate world and create their own destiny and legacy and create wealth for their family. And so I've lived that life. I've paved that way. They're the same dreams and goals that I wanted for my family. And now I'm helping others create that exact same dream for their family. Not their dream. They've already created the dream. I'm just helping support them on this journey that they're on. It's just so rewarding.
That's beautiful. And that's a part of my passion for this space as well. We're doing it in different capacities for now. And we'll get to those franchisees because I do want to talk about those guys. But
Yeah.
right now, I've got a question I'm dying to ask you. And
Yeah.
it's, you were such a hustler from the beginning, working the route, doing the real estate with the tanning business, then going and starting the preschool. There is such a mindset shift from hustler to CEO mindset. Well, now you have 40 plus corporate locations, and now you're building out a franchise system, which is an entirely different beast in and of itself. How have you had to kind of shift your mindset and build people around you so you can still level up and keep up with the growth of the organization?
Number one thing, just surround yourself with those people that are know better than you. So I did a lot of my leadership during those early years came from reading. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. I went to a ton of his
Okay.
seminars and webinars and read all of his books, and then ultimately joined Vistage as I mentioned earlier, and I was in Vistage for 26 years. Going to those other CEOs and speakers on and just pouring into my own self development.
Okay. So what does the team look like now? Because if you've got the corporate stores and then you got the franchise side of it, I'm so curious. Like, what's your day to day
Yeah.
like now compared to what it was 5 years ago? Maybe walk me through and help me understand.
So today, it's funny because you mentioned it a little bit earlier. I mean, listen, when you go at it every single day, I think God just brings you opportunities. I mean, in my roughest days, I would always say to myself, you just haven't proved yourself yet,
Mm,
right? So if you have 100 employees, you haven't proved yourself that you can handle and team build and inspire, motivate, help others prosper with 100. So, God's not going to give you 500 until you can prove yourself at 100. And today we have over
facts.
1,300. We have over 1,300 employees today, and so many opportunities have opened. As you mentioned, we started with the Celebree corporate locations. From there, we got the opportunity to get into the before and after school business in elementary schools, providing care for children in the elementary schools. So we have 44 of those before and after school programs today, which we went ahead and turned into a nonprofit. So that's it's an $8 million company, probably kicking off $800,000 a year. And we take all of those profits and we started the Huffman Family Foundation. So all those proceeds are donated to the Huffman Family Foundation, in which we give those money away to children, hospitals that are in need. And then from there, we branched off. So from there, you had the Celebrate Schools corporate, you had Caliday before and after school programs. Then we started becoming very philanthropic and created the Huffman Family Foundation. And then we started a company called Celebree Property Investments, which we started buying real estate, helping our franchise partners take down some of the best locations available, especially if they were for sale and our franchise partners didn't have the financial resources to purchase them. We have a fund that we can go in, and private real estate fund that we can go in and buy that real estate for our franchise partners. And a lot of our franchise partners can be a part of that investment. And then finally, we're sitting here under the Huffman family brands. That is the parent of these different entities that we have. So what's my day to
Super
day like?
interesting. Yeah. Come
Yeah,
on.
my day to day, is meeting with those head VPs of operations, the ones that are running, Celebrate Property Investments, the ones that are running Celebrate corporate locations, the ones that are running the Celebrate Enterprise, which is the franchise division, and that's really where I'm spending the most of my time, because I always say to myself, where do I bring the most value? And the most value for Richie is meeting with new franchise partners and helping them discover if this is an opportunity that they can really prosper with.
Now, when you have your current corporate locations and you expand the business through franchise opportunities for franchisees, does it take an equal amount of energy and capital and resources to maintain the corporate locations as it does to build and maintain a franchise system? Are those completely different in the sense of running the two pillars of the organization? Hey, help me understand that end of it just from your perspective.
Yeah, and I love that question, because a lot of our competitors, have zero corporate locations, and
Mm,
for us, it really has benefited us. Number one, we
I
were able
bet.
to. I think it was one of the reasons why we were so successful is because those corporate locations really helped fund our enterprise. So we already had the FBCs, of franchise business consultants, already in place because they were district directors on the corporate side. So
Nice. I love that.
a lot of those shared services, as we call them. I'm just taking all of those folks. Been Allison Chomos is our COO. She's been here 24 years. Lisa Bricker is our chief talent officer. She's been here for 20 years. I'm taking all that years of experience through our preschools and corporate preschools and just basically moving them over to help our franchise partners. And I think from a franchise perspective and a partnership perspective, I tell our franchise partners all the time, Matthew, like, we're in the same business that you're in. Like, they're not looking to get into the franchise business. They're looking to get into the preschool business.
Exactly.
And that is something that we've done for 30 years and continue to do today. So all those processes and procedures and curriculum that we're testing each and every day on the corporate level, we can modify and share with our franchise partners most of the times before they even realize that there's an opportunity to make them.
And I love that sentiment so much. I get excited when I hear founders and franchisees and anybody that's operating a system that has a strong founding location that's built out the entire business and infrastructure. In DFW, for example, it's a pretty competitive market when you're looking for, if I'm a prospective franchise candidate and I'm looking for a franchise business, it's hard to find brands that are available. So often you have to go for something that's emerging. And so what I do as a consultant is I really like to educate my candidates on looking for brands that have strong founder backing, because it's priceless. It's priceless.
And multiple locations. That. I mean, we had 26 locations before we even brought our first franchise partner on. And you hear it, right? So I had to take all of our team we've built on the preschool business, which are the best in the business in the preschool business, and then I had to build a franchise team and then merge the two. And in merging the two, we had to find out, preschool sides going, this is the way we do it. And the franchise side saying, this is the way we do it. And I had to bring them together and say, this is the way we're going to do it.
Sure.
I mean, there was a lot of people from the franchise industry already that came and joined us from some of our biggest competitors. And they're like, this is the way we do it. We manage from afar and we recommend. I'm like, not here. We're not doing that here.
Yo, thanks for listening this far. It's at this point in the episode that I want to talk about Streetwise franchising, teaching, training, building. Streetwise franchise. As a franchise consultant, it's my job, it's my absolute pleasure, and it's my mission to help aspiring entrepreneurs find, launch, and build their ideal business. I've been a franchise owner for almost a decade. I know what it means to struggle. I know what it means to build a team. If you're ready to get off of zero, if you're ready to build something for yourself, visit streetwisefranchising.com. Let's get the conversation started. Don't wait until tomorrow to build your future. It starts today. Streetwise franchising. Stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Let's get back to the episode. So that gets me. That's good. That gets me into my next line of questioning, because I'm sure when you made that pivot, I mean, that's a pretty significant transition. You hit some walls and things that you had to overcome. And so that was going to be my next line anyway. Like, what were some of those things that you didn't know that when you started going down that process, you start getting punched in the face and you got to pivot?
It was first of all, and this, but you sometimes forget about it. This is a partnership, right? Yep. And our 100%. Franchise partners have put a ton of their money into this.
Yes.
But you're also paying us to make sure that we give you everything we have. And I always say with our franchise partners, I'd rather you hate me for caring too much than hate me for not caring enough. Like, I'm going to give you everything I have, whether you like it or not. I apologize.
Let's go.
Right? I apologize, but I'm going to give you everything I have because I owe that to you in a partnership. And that's why you'll never, ever hear us say franchisee and franchisor, because I think the way you speak is the way you act. So if I call you my franchise partner, I'm going to behave the way a partner should behave. And so that's just the culture. So to answer your question, I did first we had to do is build the culture. Like, how are we going to partner and how are we going to act with this partner? And so, like we wrestled with, like, Matthew, we recommend that you do it this way. We recommend, and our partners didn't really want recommendations. They wanted, they
Tell me
wanted,
how to do it.
tell me how to do it.
Tell me how to do it.
Yeah, stop
Yeah.
skirting around, because at the end of the day, I'm not sure what you said, right? So we've just recently be like, our partners want us to be honest with them. How are you doing it? What do I need to do? You're the one that's been doing this for over 30 years. You're the one still doing it today with your 26 locations. Tell me what to do, and just give it to me straight. And I think, again, that is what they're hungry for. That's what I signed up for. And I know it's the only way to absolutely make sure that our partners are successful, because we know the formula. We know the formula. You got to be in our world, right? You got to be, it starts with, you got to make sure you're marketing correctly. And you got to make sure that you're using our resources and spending the amount of marketing dollars that we know is the right amount of marketing dollars. We know we got 3 pillars that we focus on: talent, brand, and operations. We know that you have to be using our tools on how to properly interview teachers to make sure that they're the right teachers for your organization. You got to make sure you're hiring them through our teacher competencies. We interviewed some of our best top teachers, and we saw very clear patterns of behaviors, which we call competencies. And we put that together, and we said, here's the formula of a really great teacher. Use it. Interview them through this tool. Our onboarding process, our brand standards, all those things, they're tried and true and still work today. And if you do that, you will be successful with the proper amount of enrollments that you need.
That takes a lot of work. Like I hear it. I hear it in your passion for what you're doing. I'm curious how you guys were intentional in the franchise development process to ensure that you were finding the franchise partners that not only would fit your culture, but would also take you guys to the level that you as the founder expected. Yeah. And also to curate, because you're giving away a piece of the pie, you're giving away a piece of the legacy when you go franchising route. And so you got to be so particular with how you do it. I'm curious how you guys facilitate that.
Some got in early.
Yeah, I understand that.
Some got in a little bit early, and then we started improving our process, Matthew. So, by the time they get here to meet the team day, it's like, oh my God, you're amazing because of the journey. So the journey that they're on, one of the biggest differences that we put in a conversation between our Chief Talent Officer, Lisa Bricker, and Allison Chomos, our COO. And they'll interview the potential franchise partner through the franchise partner competencies. Because listen, these ladies eventually are going to be responsible for working and helping these franchise partners become successful. So if Allison Chomos doesn't get a chance to interview Matthew through the competencies and see that, yeah, he's definitely got what it takes to be a franchise partner, and Lisa Bricker, who am I to say they're right or wrong, right? In a partnership. So once those two key executives interview our potential franchise partners on this journey that they're on, then after they greenlight them, then I have a one-to-one conversation with the potential franchise partner, and I want them to put a face with a name, and I want them to hear my story, and I want them to I want to ask them, why do you think this would be a great partnership, and why are you even interested in Celebree? And just hearing, is this going to be a really good culture fit? Is this going to be, I already know that they've passed the competencies from a skill set and a behavior. And now this is just, do I like this? Do I like this person? Do I think others will enjoy, them in the school? And then they come here for Meet the Team Day, and we have dinner together, and it just gets better. It's more time spent together. We've had a couple potential franchise partners get here to Meet the Team Day. And, that time together at dinner said a lot. So a couple red flags at dinner, the way they spoke to the hostess or way they spoke to the server for that evening. And we're like, okay, red flag. And, and then during actually meet the team day, we actually drilled on those things a little bit more. And some instances we have to pass. And so in the beginning, we didn't pass at all. We are just excited for someone just to acknowledge us or want to be a part of us. And at that stage, real quick, it'll be an absolute yes. It'll be an absolute no, or the other one we had adopted was, I'm not really sure. I'm seeing a couple red flags, so let's have that person go work in one of our franchise with one of our franchise partners, and let that franchise partner come back to us and let us know whether or not they believe that they'd be a good fit into the family.
I think for the listener, the most important, there's a lot there. So maybe I shouldn't say the most important thing, but something that I took from it is whether you're a franchise partner, franchisee, whether you're a candidate, whether you're looking at a brand, or you're on the franchisor side. I think when the discovery process turns into very transactional, if this is something that I'm buying, this is something that I am selling, it starts to break down, where on the flip side, it should be much more of a dating process, because I'm evaluating you, you're evaluating me. Not only do I have to have the right amount of money, but I need to fit this model, and this model needs to fit me, because at the end of the day, it's going to affect my success or the success of the system one way or the other. And I don't want to be in a system that I don't fit in, whether that's money or with the founder, with the brand, with the culture. It's not going to be a good look in the long run.
Matthew, you just said something that I say all the time.
Yeah.
I always tell our franchise partners that this is not a transaction. This is a partnership.
There we go.
I say that all the time, and I want to make sure that is set up front. And I mean, and that will bug out a couple of the franchise partners that are just potential franchise partners that are just looking for an investment. I'm not looking for investors. I didn't do this because I needed anybody's money. I didn't need anybody's money. What I needed was What I needed was partners. What I needed was partners that could uphold the brand, continue using our values and mission and beliefs, use our tools, our processes, and be successful. And with that said, we will share.
So let's dive in, because I interact with a lot of people that are looking for investment opportunities. Usually they lean on the passive side, and when they look into business ownership, they see the grit that it takes, and they're pretty averse. Most people are averse to the grit and the hard work and the hustle that it takes to launch a business. And so what do you say? What do you speak into people that are looking at business opportunities and business investments, and how do you decipher who's right for this type of investment and who should actually go do real estate, or who should stick with the stock market? Because business ownership is very, very different.
Yeah. In my experience, Matthew, they have self-selected out. They've realized that you're asking me to do something I'm not willing to do. Just like you just said. I mean, I'm looking for a partner. I'm looking for somebody, a partnership to run our school, build a team. I just did a podcast a couple minutes, 2 hours ago, with two of our franchise partners, because our mantra is we grow people big and small, and so that starts at the school level, taking assistant teachers and putting them on a skill path, and also putting them on career paths to grow. So if you're an assistant teacher, you become a teacher, then you can become assistant director, and I thought the ultimate in that we grow people big and small philosophy was that, you could be a regional director, until we started franchising. And then to me, the ultimate and the crown jewel in the Celebree entity or enterprise is owning your own school. Yeah. So the podcast I just did was with two young ladies that came up through Celebree as Celebree corporate employees, and now they both own their own Celebree schools. And we just talked about this as far as what it took in the beginning, the grit that it took, and the conversations they were having with their children and their spouses, as far as like, Mommy, you have to go to work again, and Mommy, why are you working on a Saturday, and Mommy, why this, and Mommy, why that, and the grit that it took. And now the second part of the conversation of the podcast was how much freedom they have now, and how much flexibility they have now, and how much they're really creating their dreams. And the one lady, we all got emotional on the podcast, talking about that she hasn't missed one of her children's events and how special that was. And not only the time that is now available for them to do these things, their children seeing that their mom, in this case, both moms, their moms, went out and created their own destiny, created their own business. And now the whole family is being rewarded for this, I hate to say the word chance because it's not a chance, for this journey that mom decided that she was going to get on. And it was amazing. At the end, we were all three crying at the end of the end of the podcast, because it's just, we're changing people's lives, and we're helping them achieve their dreams of more time with their family, and creating a legacy for their family, and, being a great role model for their children, and also, the financial resources that come available with it too.
Yeah, that truly is beautiful, and it speaks into. I just think when franchising goes wrong is when we try to flood as many people as possible into a system for the sake of making average unit volume look high. We got a lot of units open, so we can sell to a higher system. That's where things start to break, when you forget about the intentionality that it takes to put the right
Totally.
operator in the right system. And so I appreciate your sentiment there. My next question for you is, before we get, I mean, we're already wrapping up. Golly, this time flew by. Please, before, I would be remiss if I didn't have you give me a full breakdown of the actual business model itself as it is for franchise partners when they come into the system. What type of business, what are they operating? What are they doing? What's the setup look like when these guys launch and then they start to scale their business?
So I would say this, one of the main things we're looking for is our franchise partners have to have a desire and a passion to help others. So,
Yeah,
what I mean by that is our whole philosophy, Matthew, of we grow people big and small. As a franchise partners, and most of our franchise partners right now are already coming from the corporate world. They're coming out of finance, or they're coming out of IT, but they're already used to, and already are leading teams inside of the corporate world. So they already have a team of 10, a team of 15, team of 25, and so they're already doing the job. And that's what our franchise partners are doing. They're leading and building teams, our teachers, so then our teachers can go ahead and lead our children. That's really what type of franchise partners we're looking for. That's it. You have to have the burning desire to help others prosper through these tools, and with the philosophy of growing people big and small. And from there, we're gonna do our part. We're gonna grow you as our franchise partner. We're gonna grow you big, right? We're gonna help you locate the location, the perfect Celebree location, through our real estate department. We're going to help you negotiate your lease. We're going to help you with your construction. We have all these resources, and we're going to help you get your school open, get accredited, help you with marketing, all the successful ingredients it takes to open a Celebree school successfully, and then give you, as I mentioned, every week, give you everything we have. The one thing I'm super proud of, and where a lot of brands differ, is for every one franchise business consultant we have for 10 of our locations. And that's unheard of. Normally it's like 40 to 1. I
sure.
mean, this, as we mentioned, and you nailed it, with why some franchise brands go wrong, because I think they look at it, as we mentioned earlier, they look at it as, this is a transaction. I'm a franchisor, you're a franchisee, you buy, we agree, and then you go. And man, for me and for this team and this culture, this is personal. This is personal. We take this is a partnership, and we treat our partners like true partners.
Do you find that or is there a trend with franchise partners opening multiple schools? Yeah, what does that look like? Do you find anybody that actually works in the school on the day to day? Do you guys coach them not to do that? How do you kind of navigate that space of what the business owner actually does when they get started?
So 8 out of 10 of our franchise partners are three school development families. They
Got
own
it.
three Celebree schools.
Got
So
it.
that's the goal. That's the goal. That is what our families are looking for, and that's what we're giving them. So, but we also require for our families, again, this is not a transaction. This is a partnership. We depend or require our franchise partners to work in their schools. I mean, we want them to be the face of their school. We have a family here in Maryland that has 4 schools. And by the third school, you really start building the infrastructure. So, 3 schools, you may have, 90 employees. So you might hire one person for HR. So you start to centralize operations a little bit. That's 3 schools that have payroll that needs to be processed. You have 3 schools that invoices are coming in, accounts payable, accounts receivable. So we show our partners how to build that infrastructure for multiple schools, but we do require our franchise partners to be a part of the school's success. You can't be working another job and coming in as an investor. That's not our model. That's not our partnership.
I think people twist what it takes to work in the business and work on the business. You're still working the business. And in a lot of
Totally.
franchise sales and franchise development, it's a big push for, you hear semi-absentee, you hear semi-involved, you hear executive model, and they say it in the way to make you think that your time, your energy isn't going to be really heavily burdened and overloaded, especially in a launch period. And I just find that's not the case. I think that if you're going to build something, you do have to be intentional. And again, if you're working in the business or on the business, you're still working the business. On the flip side of that, I think a lot of people confuse. Here's an example. My first franchise was Mosquito Joe. And so when we launched that business, I was in the truck, I was the technician. And that was kind of the model, right? Until I could build out. But in this situation, your franchise partners, they're not necessarily, they don't need to go get a teaching certification,
Not at
right?
all.
Like it's very different of how they're working the business. So
You're
maybe,
driving you're driving teams, Matthew,
okay,
right? So
there it
for
is.
example, whether it's 1 school, 2 school, 3 schools, you have a director, assistant director, and you have all of your teachers. And I'm driving the business. I'm sitting down as the owner with my director and assistant director using the Celebree school tools, and I'm talking about building a 2-week smart action plan that's going to include what are we doing to build our talent, what are we doing to protect and drive the brand, and what are we doing from an operational standpoint. So an operational initiative might be, we need enrollments in our 3-year-old classroom. What are we doing this week, guys, to drive that? Okay, Janie, you're going to go and do some grassroots marketing. You're going to visit all the elementary schools and all the pediatrician schools. Who's going to create the slick? Go to Celebree website, pull out the slick. Okay. So as the owner, I'm not in the classroom. I'm driving the business, to your point.
Okay. No, so somebody that's good, because I'm sitting here taking notes, man. This is really good for me. So somebody that has experience and has a passion for building teams, knows
Yep.
how to drive results and delegate efficiently, but then also has a passion for educating young minds and building the community. That person, whether they got a background in education or not, can be a successful franchisee of Celebree Schools.
You nailed it, brother. You
There it
nailed
is.
it. No,
There it is.
very few of our franchise partners qualify or are qualified to direct their school. Actually, none. Zero.
I love
Zero.
that.
You know
Yeah.
why? Because they're already very successful in their executive roles that they're already playing. Right? They've already worked. They're working for Bank of America. They know how to do individual growth plans. They know how to do annual reviews. They already know how to drive results, right? They know how to team build and inspire, a couple of our competencies. And they're just, okay, I'm tired of doing this for somebody else. I've gained those skill sets. Now I want to apply all the skills that I have that I just mentioned, which is probably 6 out of 9 core competencies that we're looking for as a franchise partner. And I want to apply them to my community. I don't philanthropically, I don't want to do this because this is what Bank of America thinks we should do this month. I want to do it in my community. So
There it
you're
is.
spot on. They
There
want
it
to create a
is.
legacy for their family. They want to create wealth for their family, and they want to make an impact on their communities. And that is our franchise partners.
Love that. So as we wrap this up, we're in the fourth quarter now, Mr. Richie. How do you define this chapter of your life, and how does that play into what you're looking to build moving forward?
Brother, I feel like I'm just getting warmed up. I
There
feel
we
like I'm
go.
just
Come
getting
on.
warmed up. I swear to God, I do. I
Yeah.
mean, after, and that was a part of my boredom, I was like, okay.
Sure.
And then March 2019, boom, we launched a franchise, and now I'm flying all around the country, meeting with franchise partners, potential franchise partners, existing franchise partners, just checking in with them and making sure that we're good as partners, and as partners should do. And then, the CPI and the real estate door opens up. Now we're creating this fund. We're doing all kinds of great work around philanthropic. One of our stepping stone, one of our our keystones is the Ronald McDonald House. There's a Ronald McDonald House in every single community that we're in. So we're big and philanthropic, and we're just getting that started through the Huffman Family Foundation. So that's where I'm at. I feel like I'm just getting warmed up. And as we started our conversation, brother, I got five kids that are getting ready to come either out of the service, or getting out of universities. And Evan, the second one, actually was here for a internship and absolutely crushed it. So I'm excited about the business. I'm excited about being a dad and a parent with my wife, and creating this destiny, and this, with Huffman Family Brands, as far as helping the next generation, the Huffman family kids, find their way along life. So I just feel like I'm just getting warmed up.
I love every bit of that. There's layers to this show. On one hand, it's a lead generator. I like being able to provide people with education so I can help them find their franchise business as a franchise
Yeah.
consultant. That's what I do. But it also, if I can be a conduit of information, and if I can take your life story, your journey, what you've built, and like I said before we press record, if I can show it to my students when I was a teacher, this is what somebody who, a CEO, a founder of a big organization, this is what he cares about. This is how he talks. This is you getting to absorb some of his energy and his power and his knowledge and wisdom. We're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing right now. So I appreciate just the way that you hit on all that. I took it there and you matched me, man. You matched me and you took it a step farther. So I appreciate that. My last official question for you is, how will you coach up somebody who is stuck, somebody who's having a hard time, either, pivoting, maybe they don't really know what the next step is, they feel lost. How do you coach that person up in taking that first step?
I would say this: you're not stuck. You're not stuck. You think you're stuck. You're not stuck. Everything in my entire life has come from the vision that I've created in my head, right? I'm not sure. I mean, as you can tell, I'm very much into my faith. I think for me personally, God gives me these visions, and it's up to me to step into them and create them.
Come
It's
on.
up to me.
Amen.
I either
Yeah.
move forward with who he wants me to be, or I make excuses and I end up never achieving that goal. So I would say, if you feel like you're stuck, it's time to get busy, right? What in the next year, 5 years, we all have a vision of what we want to be, and the impact we want to have, and the car that we want to drive. And I don't even care about the material things, the cars, but you have a vision of who do I want to be in a year, right? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do? Right? I have this vision where, I'm flying up and down the East Coast, and I'm meeting with franchise partners, and we're helping people become entrepreneurs. And, when our last son goes off to college, finally, my wife will be with me on that plane, flying up and down the East Coast, visiting our franchise partners, enjoying the city for a little bit while we're there, and then jumping back on the jet and
Very
taking off
cool.
to the next one. And so that's the vision that I've created, that I foresee. I don't know if I created it. I don't know if it's been given to me, but that's what I'm after. So we all have that inside of us. Just, man, just put it out there, announce it, put it out there, write it down, and then start writing a real clear path of how you're going to create it. And most people underestimate what they can do because they don't see it long term, right? It's like investing. It's like, I don't have any money, so why start now? Because because you should start now, right? So no matter how old you are or how young you are, like, I just think, just get started on the vision, and that vision will change and will become more clear. It'll get different, may become different, doesn't matter. but just get started and get started now and stop making excuses.
Man, there it is. There it is. I don't know if it's cliche yet. A mentor told me this, that we often overestimate what we can do in 1 year and we underestimate what we can do in a decade. And it's just all about taking the step, man. And you said it perfectly right
Yeah,
there.
get started.
Get started. What did I
And
miss, Mr. Richie? What else?
well,
What else we got?
the only thing I would add to that, Matthew, is just again, once you have that vision and what you want to do, start just immerse yourself, man. Read it. There's nothing out there that you want to become or want to achieve that hasn't already been talked about, written about, or achieved. So there's thousands of books out there. There's thousands of mentors out there for you. Just immerse yourself in it and get started on educating yourself on how to become that person that you're looking to.
Oh, it's awesome, man. Well, Streetwise Nation, I mean, you guys heard a gem of an episode. Mr. Richie Huffman, founder, CEO, Celebree School. Thank you so much for hopping on. If you guys are interested in this concept, holler at me. I can introduce you to the team. But thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. Yeah. Until next time, stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Peace. All right, everybody. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Hey, if this episode added any value to your life at all, please like it, share it, give me a 5-star review. It's the only way that this show is going to gain traction and help more people achieve their dreams. If you're ready to start your franchise journey, visit streetwisefranchising.com. Let's set up a time to talk. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Until next time, stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Peace.